The day Kelly Clarkson threw Meghan Markle out of her show quickly became one of the most talked about moments in entertainment history, igniting conversations about celebrity culture, media dynamics, and the intense pressures placed on public figures. What was supposed to be a straightforward interview between two prominent women turned into a dramatic and heated confrontation that shocked audiences worldwide. Kelly Clarkson, known for her no-nonsense attitude and outspoken personality, was hosting her popular talk show when Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, appeared as a guest. While Meghan has long been a figure under intense scrutiny and media spotlight, this particular encounter revealed tensions and conflicts not often seen in public interactions between high-profile women. The exchange escalated rapidly, revealing cracks in their dialogue, differences in personal philosophy, and clashing expectations that ultimately led to Meghan's abrupt exit from the set. Before diving deeper into the details of the confrontation, if you want to stay updated on more exclusive insights, untold stories, and behind-the-scenes revelations from the world of celebrities and controversies, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. You won't want to miss the upcoming chapters where we unpack every layer of this explosive encounter. The atmosphere was electric from the moment Meghan stepped onto the set. Kelly greeted her warmly, but with a hint of guarded curiosity, aware of the delicate balance required when interviewing someone as scrutinized as Meghan. The initial questions revolved around Meghan's recent philanthropic efforts and her adjustment to life away from the royal spotlight. Meghan spoke eloquently about her causes and desire to use her platform for positive change. However, as the interview progressed, Kelly's tone shifted subtly. Known for her candid and sometimes provocative style, Kelly began to press Meghan on her motivations and the transparency of her charity work. The questions were pointed, and Meghan's responses, though polished, began to show signs of discomfort. The tension simmered beneath the surface, with Kelly's inquiries growing sharper and Meghan's answers becoming more defensive. Viewers sensed the change. What began as a cordial chat turned into an interrogation. Kelly challenged Meghan on the impact and outcomes of her charitable projects, questioning how accessible and inclusive they truly were. Meghan defended her initiatives, emphasizing the difficulties of operating under constant media scrutiny and the need to protect her privacy while advocating for change. But Kelly wasn't satisfied, pushing further on what she perceived as vague and rehearsed statements. As the back and forth intensified, Meghan's composure wavered. She accused Kelly of misunderstanding her intentions and of perpetuating unfair media narratives. Kelly, in turn, accused Meghan of deflecting real questions and presenting a curated image rather than engaging authentically. The exchange escalated quickly, voices rising, and the usual smooth flow of the show breaking down. Producers on set exchanged worried glances, trying to mediate the rising conflict, but the energy was palpable and uncontrollable. By the time the cameras cut to commercial, the tension had reached a boiling point. Off-camera, heated words continued, with Kelly insisting that the show maintained integrity by holding guests accountable, and Meghan asserting her right to privacy and respect. The final straw came when Kelly suggested that if Meghan couldn't answer honestly, the interview was over. Meghan, feeling cornered and publicly challenged, chose to leave immediately, exiting the set in a visibly upset state. The production team had no choice but to cut the interview short, leaving audiences with a cliffhanger that fueled endless speculation. The aftermath was immediate and overwhelming. Clips of the argument circulated widely on social media, sparking a fierce debate between supporters of both women. Some praised Kelly for her fearless approach to questioning, arguing that Meghan's avoidance of certain topics revealed a lack of transparency. Others sympathized with Meghan, condemning Kelly for crossing the line and creating an unnecessarily hostile environment. News outlets dissected the incident from every angle, and talk shows replayed the confrontation, each offering their own interpretation. The incident became a cultural flashpoint, raising broader questions about the treatment of women in the public eye, media responsibility, and the complex dynamics of celebrity interviews. Beyond the media frenzy, the incident exposed the personal toll such encounters take on the individuals involved. Meghan faced a renewed wave of criticism and personal attacks, while Kelly grappled with backlash from fans accusing her of insensitivity. Both women issued public statements in the days following the show. Meghan emphasized the importance of empathy and understanding, sharing her experience of navigating a world where every word is scrutinized and misinterpreted. Kelly reaffirmed her commitment to honest conversations, expressing regret over the fallout but standing by her approach to journalism. This incident also sparked conversations within the entertainment industry about the role of talk shows and the boundaries between probing questions and respect for personal experiences. Many professionals reflected on how such moments reveal deeper issues about power, privilege, and the sometimes unforgiving nature of fame. The clash between Kelly and Meghan symbolized not just a personal disagreement, but a larger cultural moment, illustrating the challenges women face when they are both idolized and vilified. As we continue to explore this story, it becomes clear that the confrontation was more than just a heated argument. It was a moment that reflected the complexities of identity, media pressure, and public expectation in the modern age. The ripple effects of that day are still felt, shaping the public images of both Kelly Clarkson and Meghan Markle. Each has had to navigate the fallout in their own way, redefining their narratives amidst a swirling storm of opinions and emotions. In the chapters to come, we will delve deeper into what led up to the explosive interview, the perspectives of those closest to the situation, and how this event fits into the broader landscape of celebrity culture and media scrutiny. We'll examine the roles played by producers, publicists, and social media, and uncover the behind-the-scenes decisions that influenced the outcome. Additionally, we will look at the impact on Kelly and Meghan's careers and personal lives, and how this encounter reshaped public perception. This is not just a story about a television interview gone wrong. It is a story about power, vulnerability, and the fragile balance between public persona and private self. It reminds us that behind every headline are human beings dealing with pressures that often go unseen. It challenges us to think critically about how we consume celebrity news and the responsibilities of media figures in shaping those narratives. As you prepare to dive into this saga, keep in mind that every chapter reveals a new layer, a different perspective, and a deeper understanding of a moment that captured the world's attention. Stay tuned, because the story of Kelly Clarkson and Meghan Markle is far from over, and the truth behind that fateful day is more complex than anyone imagined. The fallout from that unforgettable day on Kelly Clarkson's show only grew as insiders began leaking details behind the scenes. It turned out the confrontation was about much more than just a simple disagreement. It was a clash of clashing personalities and worldviews that had been simmering under the surface for weeks. Meghan Markle, known for her poised public persona, had entered the studio with confidence, ready to share her story and promote her latest initiatives. But Kelly, with her straightforward and no-nonsense approach, quickly grew frustrated with what she perceived as Meghan's evasiveness and scripted answers. As cameras rolled, the atmosphere shifted palpably. What started as a cordial exchange soon devolved into pointed remarks and cutting sarcasm. Kelly's warm demeanor faded into sharp questioning, her tone edging toward impatience. Meghan, usually composed, responded with equal firmness, refusing to back down or soften her words. The audience, initially captivated, now sat on edge, sensing the tension crackling like static in the air. Staff whispered among themselves, worried the exchange might spiral further. Behind closed doors, sources revealed that this wasn't the first time the two had clashed. During rehearsals, small disagreements over the interview's direction and focus had set the stage for this explosive encounter. Kelly reportedly pushed for more candid, unscripted moments, hoping to reveal a side of Meghan the public hadn't seen. Meghan, on the other hand, wanted to maintain control of her narrative, wary of being portrayed unfairly or taken out of context. Their competing priorities, combined with the pressure of a live broadcast, created a volatile mix. When the argument reached its peak, Kelly's decision to cut the interview short shocked everyone in the studio. Without warning, she stood up, signaling to the production team to wrap things up. Meghan, visibly stunned, was escorted off the set, the cameras capturing every moment of the dramatic exit. Viewers at home were left with more questions than answers, as the episode abruptly ended without the promised in-depth conversation. Social media exploded with speculation, fans and critics alike dissecting every word and gesture. In the days that followed, both Kelly and Meghan maintained a careful silence, their public statements guarded and vague. Kelly released a brief comment expressing regret over how things unfolded but stood by her decision to end the interview early. Meghan's representatives declined to comment, fueling rumors of a deep rift. Meanwhile, former show staff and insiders began revealing anecdotes hinting at ongoing tensions between the two stars. The narrative quickly shifted from a simple celebrity spat to a complex story about power dynamics, media control, and personal boundaries. Industry experts weighed in, suggesting the clash reflected broader issues in celebrity interviews and the pressures of maintaining authenticity under the glare of public scrutiny. For Kelly, known for her authenticity and relatability, the incident was seen as a rare loss of control in her usually smooth hosting style. For Meghan, it underscored the challenges of navigating fame, public expectations, and personal privacy. The incident sparked debates about the role of talk shows in shaping celebrity images and the fine line between tough questions and respectful dialogue. As the media frenzy continued, the public remained divided. Some praised Kelly for standing her ground and demanding honesty, while others sympathized with Meghan's desire to protect her story from sensationalism. Memes, think pieces, and viral videos flooded online platforms, each adding a new layer of interpretation. The argument that started in a studio would ripple far beyond, influencing conversations about celebrity culture and media ethics for months to come. The network executives hadn't seen it coming, not like this. In the days following Meghan Markle's abrupt dismissal from the Kelly Clarkson Show, internal meetings at NBC turned tense. The producers were torn. On one hand, Kelly's decisive action had made headlines, boosting the show's ratings overnight. On the other hand, it had ignited a media firestorm involving a member of the British royal family, even if estranged. Behind closed doors, there were concerns about international backlash, fan uproar, and potential fallout with influential PR circles tied to Meghan's brand. But most urgently, there were whispers about what hadn't aired because what the public saw was only the final 5 minutes of a much deeper confrontation. The unedited footage, according to a senior producer who spoke anonymously, revealed a moment that hadn't aired due to network intervention. Midway through the interview, when Kelly asked Meghan about the controversy surrounding her podcast deal, Meghan reportedly became visibly agitated. "Is this why you invited me here?" she asked sharply. Kelly, known for her transparency and directness, fired back. "I invited you to have a real conversation, not a rehearsed speech." That moment, intense and unscripted, led to a sharp exchange of words between the two. Meghan stood her ground, stating that she had been under constant attack by the media and expected a space of empathy, not interrogation. Kelly countered, saying that being asked questions wasn't an attack, and that if Meghan wanted to redefine her image, she needed to speak with clarity, not guarded soundbites. That was the turning point. Crew members recalled the silence that followed as both women stared at each other, neither blinking. A longtime camera operator later said, "It was like watching two versions of America, one fighting to be heard, the other demanding honesty." What many people didn't know was that Meghan had arrived to the studio early that morning, visibly tired, having flown in on a red-eye flight. She reportedly declined all hair and makeup touch-ups and refused the pre-show notes Kelly's team had prepared. According to a junior stylist, Meghan said, "I'm here to be real, not curated." Yet, ironically, the show's host expected the opposite, a controlled, polished appearance consistent with Meghan's usual media image. That contrast set the stage for the emotional unraveling that unfolded on camera. Meanwhile, Meghan's camp had already begun quietly reaching out to other networks and talk show platforms to preempt damage. One associate close to her team claimed that Meghan felt ambushed and was caught off guard by Kelly's unexpectedly hard-hitting tone. Others pointed out that Meghan had become increasingly cautious about media appearances, especially after her viral fallout with Spotify and ongoing tabloid coverage. The argument with Kelly wasn't just a spontaneous flare-up. It was, in many ways, a manifestation of built-up pressure, disappointment, and distrust. Back at NBC, Kelly remained stoic. She met privately with senior producers and refused to issue an apology. "I'm not going to say sorry for being honest," she was quoted as saying during a post-show meeting. "If I lose guests over that, then I'm okay with it. But I'm not going to smile and nod while someone dances around the truth." Some executives were rattled by her defiance, but others quietly applauded her for holding her ground. One insider noted, "Kelly doesn't play politics. She plays real, and sometimes that gets messy." And messy it did get. The episode sparked deep divides across social media and the press. Supporters of Meghan called the show disrespectful, accusing Kelly of ambushing a woman who had already endured relentless scrutiny. Others championed Kelly's refusal to be starstruck and praised her for holding her guest accountable like she would any other public figure. Opinion columns began surfacing everywhere, some defending Meghan's boundaries, others criticizing what they called her media micromanagement. But in the middle of all this public debate, a more personal story was unfolding quietly. A backstage intern named Lauren, who had been tasked with managing Meghan's dressing room, later shared her perspective anonymously through a blog post that gained traction. In it, she described watching Meghan sit silently after leaving the stage, her hands trembling slightly, lips pressed together. She wasn't angry, Lauren wrote. She looked like someone who had just realized she couldn't control the story anymore. And maybe for the first time, that scared her. This human dimension added a new layer to the controversy. It wasn't just two women clashing over ideals. It was two public figures, each scarred by the demands of fame, each trying to assert control in a world that rarely allows for it. Kelly, hardened by years in the industry and no stranger to personal battles, had simply reached a point where politeness wasn't worth the cost of authenticity. Meghan, struggling to redefine her image in a media landscape that often strips nuance from narrative, found herself trapped between vulnerability and protection. The producers still debated whether to release the full episode. Leaked snippets had already started circulating on fan forums and media sites, raising questions about editorial ethics and selective storytelling. One producer argued that airing the full footage would at least give context. Another warned that doing so might permanently damage the show's future guest bookings. In the end, they decided to let the storm pass without fueling it further. But the storm didn't pass easily. Days later, Meghan's team released a carefully worded statement emphasizing her commitment to honest, respectful conversations and her hope that future interviews provide space for thoughtful dialogue, not confrontation. Kelly, on the other hand, remained characteristically silent. When asked about the interview in a later appearance on The Tonight Show, she smiled, paused, and said, "Sometimes conversations take a turn. And sometimes they show you exactly what you need to see." Those 12 words said more than any press release could. In the weeks following the incident, both Meghan Markle and Kelly Clarkson resumed their professional responsibilities, but the shadow of that infamous day never fully faded. Tabloids kept the narrative alive, talk shows dissected it from every angle, and social media remained ablaze with theories. But amid the chaos, something more curious began to unfold. The media's obsession gradually shifted from the dramatic fallout to what the moment had revealed about both women, not just as public figures, but as people. Behind the scenes, producers at Kelly's show were scrambling to contain the PR damage. Sponsors had begun asking questions, some concerned about the optics of a guest being visibly escorted off set. Others quietly applauded Kelly for taking a stand, seeing her decision not as impulsive, but principled. Kelly herself kept her head down, issuing only one more short statement during an interview weeks later, in which she said, "I'll always be real with my audience. That's the promise I made from day one, and I'm not about to fake it now." She never named Meghan, but everyone knew exactly who she was talking about. For Meghan, the episode became a defining moment in how the media and the public viewed her relationship with power, control, and vulnerability. She did not respond with fiery rebuttals or clarifying interviews. Instead, she took a markedly different approach: silence. And in that silence, she seemed to regain control. Rather than fanning the flames, she allowed the narrative to evolve on its own, letting public perception shift naturally. Some saw this as dignified, others called it strategic. But either way, it worked. The story reached an unexpected climax when an unaired segment of the interview mysteriously leaked online. It wasn't explosive or shocking, it was subtle. In it, Kelly asked a deeply personal question about Meghan's estrangement from parts of her family. Meghan's answer, clipped and mechanical, triggered a long pause. Kelly followed up, not with accusation, but with genuine empathy, saying, "We all have our limits. But don't you think healing, when it's possible, is more powerful than silence?" Meghan didn't respond. She looked away, clearly wrestling with something. That moment, the silence, the restraint, spoke louder than any headline. The clip went viral within hours. But this time, the public reaction was different. Instead of memes and mockery, there were debates, essays, and personal reflections. Journalists explored the emotional labor of public figures, particularly women, and the impossible balance between openness and self-preservation. A viral tweet read, "That wasn't a meltdown. That was two women, both shaped by different wounds, clashing in a space never meant for healing." It was shared over 200,000 times. Soon after, talk show hosts across various networks began reevaluating their interview formats. Segments once designed to provoke now lean toward dialogue. Shows adopted opt-out segments where guests could bypass personal questions without needing to justify themselves. And in a surprising twist, Kelly's team announced a new segment inspired by the incident, Pause, a part of the show where guests could reflect silently before answering, an acknowledgement of the moment things had gone too far. But perhaps the most profound aftermath was something few saw coming. A charity event months later brought both women into the same venue. Cameras caught them greeting one another, not warmly, but respectfully. A nod, a quiet acknowledgement. They didn't speak publicly, but the image went viral. Two women, both scrutinized to extremes, standing in the same room not as rivals, but as professionals who had survived the public's need to pick sides. The headlines began to soften. Journalists wrote about what the moment revealed about celebrity, conflict, and grace under fire. Kelly's ratings climbed steadily as audiences admired her for keeping it real. Meghan's public image, once again under fire, began to stabilize, people recognizing the restraint she had shown as strength, not evasion. What began as a public fallout slowly transformed into a conversation about accountability, storytelling, and the humanity behind the fame. By the end of the year, what remained was not the feud, but the impact. The moment two powerful women collided not to destroy one another, but to expose the cost of always needing to explain, defend, and smile under pressure. In a time when everything is broadcast, dissected, and consumed, what lingered was not the sharpness of their words, but the silences between them, where the real story always lives.